part of the retro vibes today. How you been, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I just got back in town. Sorry about the bad internet connection. They cut my internet line at the street, and they're supposed to be fixing it today. So I'm running a little hotspot right now.
You're okay. We hear you good. Okay. And Cam's been there before. Looking nice and crisp today, Cam.
Oh yeah, I'm locked in. I had a nice little conference call with T-Mobile. I told them I had to say, "Hey, foul territory doesn't stop just because you guys are not doing your job." And I also paid my bill a little early, like Mark said. So I'm cooking right now, man. I did my speed test. I'm cooking right now. So let's keep it going.
Paying your bills always helps. It never hurts. Always helps.
Never
All right.
never hurts to pay them on time too.
That's true. Before we start, I do want to shout out a special moment coming up this weekend. Jen Pawal is going to be the first female umpire to ump a regular season game. We've got the Braves and the Marlins. It's on Saturday. That's really cool. So there's been moments where we've had a female umpire in a spring training game and other scenarios in the minor leagues, but this one will be in a regular season game, long overdue. She's 48 years old. She's been through the ranks. She was a former college softball player and then has spent a lot of time as an ump. Cam, this is cool.
This is awesome. I saw this last night as I was watching the Padres take on the Diamondbacks, and I thought, like you said, Scott, long overdue. When you look at some of the other sports, the NBA, the NFL, soccer, you look around the league and you have women that have already, taken this step. So this is great. Shout out to her for her love of the game, her passion, her consistency, and I'm excited to watch, man. I know this will be a big moment for MLB and for her and her family as well.
KP, what do you got?
Yeah, much like he said, long overdue. But I'm also very happy that it wasn't given to her, that it was earned. I'm a big believer in, no matter what you're doing, you got to go out and earn it. And obviously, 48 years old, she's paid her dues. She's worked herself up from, probably instructional league all the way up through AAA, and now getting a chance to call a game behind home plate. It's really cool.
Did either of you ever play a minor league game where there was a female umpire? Because I know there are some in the minor leagues.
I did
In
not.
spring training,
I
go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did not. I did not. I don't remember it at all. I don't remember spring training or even my last year in AAA. I don't remember it at all. So I'm excited about this. I think this is awesome for the game.
Yeah, I had seen a couple in spring training this year. Not behind home plate, they were doing the bases, but once again, yeah, obviously it's important to make a big deal about it. But once again, I'm a big believer in earning it. They've earned it, and we should celebrate it. But after today, you got to treat her like every other umpire.
That's right. That's right. That's what she wants. So after she played college ball, she was umpiring in NCAA softball from 2010 to 2016. MLB invited her to an umpire training academy. And then, because she had had a tryout in August of 2015, just like you said, KP gets into rookie ball in 2016, moves up the rank, gets to AAA in 2023, and then last year became the first female ump to work a spring training game since Ria Cortezio in 2007. That was a big gap there. And then later in the 24 season, she was named a crew chief, eventually to the call-up list for the major league level. And that's why we're at this point now where she gets that call-up for Saturday's game. So cool. We'll keep an eye on it on the weekend. Let's charge.
Charging the mound.
Oh, those San Diego Padres are coming in hot, Cam, your former team, making it a little two-game deficit in the National League West with plenty of time and some games against the Dodgers still to go. But they had a nice comeback win yesterday. And you know what helps? Trade additions like Ryan O'Hearn hitting a home run in the ninth inning off a bad bullpen in what the Diamondbacks have and a nasty bullpen in what the Padres have. So they get another run in extras and then they win it.
Yeah, I was sitting back watching that game 2-1 going into that last inning, and sure enough, there you go, hanging slider. Ryan O'Hearn comes through big, and I'm not mistaken, that was his first homer against the lefty, right? So I just like all the things that are going on right now, the synergy, the chemistry, the togetherness that the Padres are playing with, and Scotty, my favorite thing about the Padres is we talked about it with the Brewers. They know how to manufacture runs. You see a Jose Iglesias. I mean, throwing out singles, Bogey starting to swing it well. He's getting hot. I love the Freddie Fermin acquisition, right? That's the one that nobody's going to talk about. Freddie for me is going to be the guy that somewhere down the stretch when you need a big win, you need to get a guy over, he's going to lay down a bunt. He's going to do a baseball play type of thing that's going to propel the Padres. So I just love all the moves, and huge for Ryan O'Hearn to come up. But I think this is just bigger than just one or two pieces. I mean, they covered so many holes across the board: depth, arms, chemistry, the right type of characters. This was fun to watch.
They've even got the Mr. Clutch from last year, Jose Iglesias, who came through in extras too. I mean, he was pissed that he didn't sign back with the Mets. Mets didn't want him, and he's like, my dream is to be in the NLCS this year and have a big clutch knock against the Mets.
Every offseason, I'm sorry, KP, I'm going to let you go, but just think about this. Every offseason, here we are talking about Jose Iglesias signing minor league deals. What are we doing? Here we are every year talking about, Luis Ariz and his defense, and he doesn't hit the homers, and he's going to win like his third or fourth, 3 batting titles in a row. Like, let's start to celebrate the baseball players, right? The guys who play the game and make winning plays. Like, I'm tired of hearing about what these guys don't do well. They continue to be clutch, and the Padres and A.J. Preller, they very much value these guys.
Yeah, I was going to say good for Ryan O'Hearn. When you get traded mid-season, you're kind of just looking for that moment where you feel like you belong on your new team. There's a lot of pressure getting traded over a team, especially a team like the Padres that have goals of winning a World Series. And for him to step up, first home run against a left-handed pitcher right there. And I didn't really get a chance to see the game. I don't know what the bench looked like in that situation. Probably wasn't getting a lot of chances against left-handers in Baltimore. And that's just something that just gives him confidence, where the Padres are like, it's the 9th inning. You're our guy. We brought you over here for this reason. For him to hit a big home run like that, it's cool to see. And, we talked about the Dodgers early in the season, a team where you look at their roster and it's just star after star after star after star. And the Padres are quickly shortening that gap. You could talk about the Padres lineup, and it's star after star after star. And they also have those glue guys. You talked about the Jose Iglesias. I know what it's like to be undervalued, underappreciated. Some of the most important things you do don't show up on a stat sheet. It's hard to quantify clutch. It's hard to quantify clubhouse chemistry and culture and, just being a good teammate. It's going to be an interesting race down the stretch.
So I want to bring up this quote from O'Hearn, new addition to the team, and usually a really good interview. We've had him on. Nice and simple, Cam. He goes, "This is the deepest lineup I've ever been a part of." Now, remember, he was on the Orioles this year. He's been on the Orioles, I think, at least last year, if not the year before as well. So some Orioles teams that could bang a little bit. But he did not hesitate. He was very clear. This is the team, not the one I was on.
Yeah, and when I look at the word deep, I said it the other day, Scotty, the details matter. And when I talk about deep, they don't just wait around for the homer, right? They really stretch out a rotation. They really stretch out a bullpen. They have team at-bats, right? You're seeing guys fighting when they get to 2 strikes, turning the 0-2 count into a 7, 8, 9, 10 pitch at-bat. Like, those are the type of quality of at-bats that make that depth really serious instead of just waiting for the homer or waiting for that guy to hit a home run or do something big. They have a way to manufacture runs and just really drain the life out of a rotation and a bullpen, as you saw last night. So I think that's what he means when he talks about depth, as well as KP talking about the stars in that lineup. They're really starting to play just like they are, stars.
Do old teammates care when someone says that? He was on the 23 and 24 O's that made the playoffs, KP, or you're like, hey, good for him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you get traded or when you play on a new team, you got to be all in. And I like to see that as he's just being all in. This is not like he's not throwing shade. It's easy for us to sit here, or if I'm an Orioles fan, how dare he say that? Like, what else is a player supposed to do? He gets traded to a new place. A microphone gets stuck in his face. He's coming off this super emotional home run. He finally feels like he belongs. He probably get asked a question, is this the deepest lineup you've ever been a part of? And he probably says, yeah, this is the deepest lineup I've ever been a part of. And that's not throwing shade at the team he was previously on. That's just him showing his commitment to his new team, wanting to be part of the boys.
Hey, one more component for you, Cam. Michael King, who can pitch like a number 1 if he's feeling good, scheduled for Saturday. and they're playing the Red
Yeah.
Sox on Saturday. So he should be back for the stretch run. He's feeling all right.
Yeah, and right now I'm sure he's in a place where they've taken their time. He's feeling good. He's feeling healthy, and this is like a late trade line, acquisition. And you talk about Michael King, so we talk about Mason Miller coming in, shutting the door last night. We know how dominant the bullpen has been, and then you add this guy back to the rotation. It just, I think it bodes, well for the Padres, and I'll say it right now. I think they will end up winning this division because more than anything, they're healthy right now. But I love the chemistry that they're playing with. Like KP said, there's no stat for character, chemistry, and camaraderie. So, and this is the most together I've seen them in the last 2 years. I talked about it last year. Mike Trout coming in really has brought the boys together. And I really believe teams go how their manager goes. And he's the type of guy you show up every day and you're excited to come to the ballpark and play for. And you see it in these guys.
Okay, pop quiz at the finish line here. I want you guys to tell me which team you like better for the regular season, because I think they're both playoff teams, and which team you like better in October. You can have different answers here. Which team do you think wins the National League West and do you think is better for a regular season run? Now, remember, you tighten things up in the playoffs. You don't have to worry about your number 5 starter, stuff like that, right? So I think there's a big difference. I've done that sometimes, like last year, talking about the Phillies and the Mets. I'm like, Phillies I like better in the regular season. Mets I like better in the playoffs. That's how that plays out. So with the Dodgers and the Padres, KP, what do you like regular season? What do you like October?
This might shock some people here, but I think I like the Padres better in the regular season because I do think it means more to them to win a division than it does to the Dodgers. And in a playoff series, where we're standing right now, the way both teams are playing, I think I would have to take the Padres too. And I just look at how deep their bullpen is. It's a healthy bullpen. And when the Dodgers bullpen's healthy, it can be as good as the Padres bullpen. But I think about the bullpen of the Padres and how good it is and how deep it is. And they have 5 legitimate closers on the back end. You can shorten the game in a postseason series.
Yeah, that's true. Cam, do you feel the same way?
Hey, my boy said it. Superman said it. I think it's that simple. I mean, I'm looking at it all in totality. I'm looking at even right now, from beginning to end, what Mookie Betts has went through. Right, that's one of their key pieces. That's one of their cornerstones. I just think sometimes you have seasons like Mookie maybe have. Not saying he won't get it together, but things just feel right for the Padres. And then KP said it. When you talk about being able to shorten the game, and make it a 5-inning game, the Padres have just that. I mean, if somebody gets in trouble at the bullpen, they can go to another guy. They can go to another guy. They don't have to wish and hope that, hey, this guy figures it out a batter or 2 from now. And I just think that lineup, I like right now. I love the pieces that they added. Defensively, I think they're better. I think the starting rotation is better right now. I don't know how healthy those guys will be. And then, too, just coming into the season on the back end thinking that these guys are going to dominate, the Snells of the world and some of the other guys that they'll have coming back. Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Padres on both ends for sure.
I'm leaning towards the Padres as well. I think they've got 5 guys that can close out games, and the Dodgers have a really strong bullpen too. I just haven't seen something talent-wise like what the Padres are bringing to the table with their bullpen, even if the Dodgers have a little edge, I think, on offense. The other thing I look at is, how does Michael King look over the next week or month and a half? Because if he looks like the Michael King that we're used to seeing in the last year and a half, then KP, I mean, that's a number 1 starter. And he was dominant from what I remember in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I mean, health is the big thing. I mean, we talked about the Padres bullpen. They're healthy right now. If you get the Dodgers bullpen healthy, which is a big if, you got Kirby Yates out, you got Tanner Scott out, Blake Training's coming back. I mean, I'd take those 3 on the back end of a bullpen any day of the week. But the question is, are they going to be healthy? Are they going to be able to kind of get into midseason form? We're almost entering September here. We're getting close to the end of the season. Are they going to have enough time to get ready and get back into, closing shape? I mean, that's the question that needs to be answered to me.
Yep.
And not to mention, at the end of the day, the Padres just have not only do they have a bullpen, they have the depth. Like KP said, I mean, they have, you name 5, but they have, I mean, nobody's talking about Morejon. I mean, he was an all-star, right? Like that dude can come in and get lefties or righties out. There's so many places you can go to. I just think I mean, and I've said it before. We very rarely we haven't had a back-to-back World Series champion, so it feels like the Padres' time right now. I don't think they're afraid anymore, right? I know the Dodgers have the history behind them, the winning pedigree, but I think the Padres, when you watch them play, you see something different. You talked about it, KP talked about it last night. I was watching the game when O'Hearn hit that homer. Manny Machado. He's Unk now in the locker room. Unk is like, not only is he coming to outside, he's climbing over the railing, right? Like he could have went to the step. Like dudes are excited and hype and playing for each other. It looks like your at bat means just as much to me as it means to you. And when you have that going, man, when you have guys showing up and really rooting for each other, it starts to create something special. And you add guys like Mason Miller. These are clubhouse guys. These aren't just talented guys. They're character guys, and you just continue to add character with the talent. You're spelling, something special. It's something special brewing.
And these teams don't love each other, which is nice. And in a time when most teams have a lot of respect, these two teams have respect, but they do not like each other. It's genuine. Mason Miller told us about that the other day. If you want to check out that conversation, then you can go back and search for it in wherever you're listening to or watching us. Also, if you want more on the Dodgers, we have Dodgers territory, but don't forget about Friar territory. That's our all Padres show. Kyle Glazer, Heath Bell, Mike Cameron, many other writers join them as well. They are dialed on the Friar territory, or on the Padres. Friar territory is part of the FT network. Coming up next, Gavin Williams almost delivered a no-hitter against pretty good offense, although not lately. It's summertime, it's bathing suit time, and it's time to get a better bathing suit liner. It's 2025, Kratz. I would like to feel more comfortable, and I would like to thank Fair Harbor for doing that.
It's super easy. Get the Fair Harbor Breeze Knit liner in your shorts. You can go play football on the beach, you can play paddleball, and you don't got to worry about that crappy liner that other bathing suits have.
It is so comfortable. You got to check it out. I'm telling you, it's like butter, baby. You got to check out the Fair Harbor, not only bathing suits, but they carry a full line of casual clothing, shorts, shirts, hoodies. Go to the website, fairharborclothing.com/foul, and use code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase. That's fair, HARBOR clothing.com/foul for 20% off your first purchase. And make sure that you use the FT promo code so that they know we sent you and you get the discount, FOUL. Hey, you guys are fast. Can you explain this? KP, the Mariners added an unstoppable base stealing specialist. This is on the Seattle Times. Adam Jude, who was on our show the other day, said that Josh Naylor's 10 for 10 in stolen base attempts with the Mariners. He's been successful in all 10. 21 for 23 overall this year, despite one of the slowest average sprint speeds in baseball. We've seen some guys that are slow, sneak a base here and there. I mean, he's becoming one of the premier threats in baseball this month.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit tougher when the cat's out of the bag, when you're going to run, but stealing bases, it obviously helps when you are fast. It's going to mask some mistakes you can make on the base pass and getting jumps and stuff, but base stealing is an art. There's a lot that goes into it. Your size of your leads, your understanding of the pitcher and catcher, knowing who's behind home plate, how good his arm is, tendencies of when they throw certain pitches in certain counts. Every pitcher has a little bit of a tell. Every pitcher has a little bit of a rhythm that they get into. Josh Naylor has just figured out how to maximize that.
I'll tell you what else he's figured out. He's figured out that first bases coach, his name is Eric Young Jr. His father was one of the best base stealers in the game. Eric Young Jr., while he was in the league, one of the best base stealers in the game. And playing with EY Jr., one thing about him, he's a student. And it didn't surprise me after he was done playing that he's a first base coach. He used to talk to me, and I used to call him when we didn't play together, and I say, hey, what do you got on this guy? And it'd be like, hey, toe in, or when he takes a deep breath, when his shoulder goes down, when he looks up to the air, when he's looking at third base, he's going to throw a breaking ball. Eric Young Jr. is the reason why Josh Naylor is stealing all these bags.
Almost a no-hitter for Gavin Williams. Took his no-no into the ninth inning on Friday. Was just about there. Juan Soto took him deep. Gavin Williams is going to join FT on Friday, by the way, so we're excited for that. But we were talking about this at the end, I think, of yesterday's show, and then even in our post-production meeting, we were all watching him deal in Queens against the Mets. 111 pitches. Did either of you play with Stephen Vogt? Either of you teammates with him?
I did
You
for
did?
a brief stint. Yeah.
You both did? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, Cam, did you like this? Voter was letting him eat. 111 pitches, ninth inning. He's like, go for it. And then, what was even more surprising to me? After he gives up the homer, he still left him in the game. And then there was the walk. So he's like, okay. At that point, he got taken out. But it was 126 pitches, most pitches thrown in a game this year. 8 2/3 innings, couldn't complete it for the complete game. I had to have someone come in and obviously clean it up. But I mean, what a performance. 8 2/3, a hit, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. Are you surprised not only that he let him go in the ninth, but then after he gives up the homer to Soto, that he still let him try and finish that thing?
I wasn't, just because I know Voter. Voter understands the game. He's a guy who's had his feet to the dirt. And he's one of the brightest guys that I've ever played with. And I think he just understood the moment. And it was a moment for Williams right there out there dealing in Queens. I mean, young guy. He showed us glimpses of this type of stuff. But I just think it was one of those things where Voter read the room. He's been in these situations. He's been behind a dish and he watched the game. And he understood, hey, my guy, got beat by one of the best in the game, and this is his game. This is his game. So he tried to let him go as far as he could, and I love that. And I love that confidence that it builds in the young guy, and I love what Steven continues to show as a leader. Man, he's a leader of men, and I love that. I think the Guardians have that trust in him as well. I don't think it was any backlash, from the front office. I think this is one of those things where they trust Voter, and I think. This is a great moment for him and Williams to continue to grow together as manager and player.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised they allowed him to go after hitting the home run, but I'm very happy that they did allow him to go. First of all, I love Stephen Vogt as a friend, as a person. I'm very happy he's in this position. He was a tremendous teammate. He was a tremendous leader, and there's no surprise he's in a position that he's in right now. That being said, he also played. He was a catcher. He understands the moment. He understands the situation. He used his eyeballs. He used not only his coaching eyeballs, but his catching eyeballs to understand that his pitcher, regardless of the pitch count, he was still dealing. And what I love even more is he does give up the home run. And instead of walking out there and being like, hey, great job, 8 2/3, you give up this home run, let him try to get out of it. Don't let him walk off with, I wouldn't be upset if I was a pitcher. I'd be disappointed. You get so close to doing it and then you give up a home run. That's the last pitch you throw is giving up a home run where you haven't given up a hit the whole game. Give him a chance to get out of it. And he did. Unfortunately, he had a walk after it. And at that point, you make a decision, let's go out. But also really classy by the Mets fans too. I played for the Mets. They can be tough on you as a home player. They can definitely be tough on you as a visiting player. But I love to see when just good fans of baseball read the room, understand the magnitude of the situation. That doesn't mean you don't want to win a game. You just have to be a fan of baseball. And sometimes when you're in the stands and you're close to witnessing something as great as a no-hitter, you have to just stand up and show your respects.
That's right. Standing O for Mets fans. And they got their boos in too, because after each inning, especially as the game was going on, when he would slice and dice, they were booing because they had a hitless streak that was going into this one from the last game. I think it ended at 14 innings. So they were feeling it a little bit up until the ninth. But I agree with you. It's cool to see a fan base understand the moment and how rare it is. And by the way, Cam, Cleveland Guardians fans and Indians before that fans have not experienced this since Len Barker perfect game, May 15th, 1981 is the last time that they've had a no-hitter. It's the longest active no-hitter drought in baseball.
Yeah, guys get paid to not get out, Scott. Do that, man. That's why, when you see these feats, there are special moments, man. And I think that's why we have to celebrate them like we do in our game, because we know how difficult it is to go through a lineup that many times. And you're always going to have a little bit of luck on your side as well. But yeah, again, guys like Williams, I don't think they're far from getting one, in their near future.
Yeah, why does it always feel like it's a home run too? Can it just be like a solid,
A
clean single? It's
blooper.
like one or the other. It's either a home run or like a weakly hit ball, and you're like holding your breath. Like if I'm a pitcher and I'm going to give up a hit, can it just be like a clean base hit up the middle? No drama, but also you still have a shutout in order. That's got to suck a little bit for a pitcher. You go almost the distance, you don't give up a hit, and then the one hit you give up leads to a run. But like you said, if it was something where you just have to be a really good pitcher, we would see it all the time because we have amazing pitchers. We have pitchers with their stuff is so good. Paul Skeens would do it every day if it was something that happened all the time, if it was easy to do. There is an element of luck involved with it. And, Cleveland needs one. They need one. They had guys like Corey Kluber who wasn't able to do it. So, hopefully they get one here soon.
Do you think that Stephen Vogt gets any pushback from the front office in a scenario like that, or even afterward? Because, he mentioned how he didn't even talk to Gavin Williams. He didn't talk to Carl Willis, anyone else. He's like, hey, you look crisp. I was feeling it. I'm letting him eat. But I know this for a fact, Cam. Most front offices would give crap to their manager and be like, absolutely not 126 pitches. There are a ton of young pitchers that they would go nuts about. I guess Gavin Williams is more mid-career-ish at this point. But still, do you think that there's a conversation there? Because I know many other teams would be a problem.
I'm sure it was a conversation, but also too, Scotty, and I don't know where the bullpen was on usage. I don't know how banged up they might have been. But I do feel like you said, Gavin Williams is somewhat early in his career. So and he also has a frame, right? I also look at certain guys too. He has a frame that looks like he can withstand that type of workload also. So I look at things like that. But I'm sure it was definitely a conversation. But I also think too, when you look ahead at their schedule, I think they have some time off coming up. So I think this might be a chance where he might get an extra days of rest as well. So he might have been like, hey, he's dealing, he's doing his thing. Go ahead and let him just unload the tank, and he's going to have an extra day of rest, so he'll be fine. So I'm sure there are conversations had between manager and front office for sure when the guy goes out and he gives you this type of workload.
That's true. Extra off day, right? Extra day of rest for him,
Yeah.
and he's 6'6", 250. He's a
I
big
mean,
boy.
he's a monster, dude. Like
Yeah.
that type of body. Listen, I'm sure in his lifetime, I'm sure that dude was throwing all types of 100-pitch games coming through the minors the youth ranks in high school and college. I'm sure he was definitely a guy who he's thrown a lot of pitches before. He has that type of makeup.
Yeah, for my sanity and me being able to get good sleep tonight, I really hope there wasn't a conversation. When you
Yes.
hire a guy to be your manager like Stephen Vogt, who's played the game at a high level, was an all-star, was a catcher, understands, he made a living catching, understanding pitchers, seeing their stuff. I would really hope there's not a conversation except for them coming down and maybe talking about how close he was to throwing a no-hitter, but I really hope for my sanity that there wasn't any sort of, pushback on his decision.
Yep.
And KP, hey, Scotty, KP probably knows this. KP knows this. One thing about Stephen Vogt is he cares about his guys, right? First off, he cared about his teammates when he was a player. So I know as a manager, one thing he's not going to do is run a guy out there to try to get a win or just for stats. Like like Superman said, he's reading the room, he's using his eyeballs. And the last thing he's going to do is put somebody in danger. So that's one thing you got to understand about Stephen Vogt. He's not going to put somebody out there in risk of getting injury just to get a win or say, hey, I left him out there for 140 pitches and he threw a no-hitter. Like he's definitely reading the room.
Where they're at in their season right now, they are playing to win. They need to win every game. There was a moment where he could have made history. He could have thrown a no-hitter right there. Is it as important that is to Stephen Vogt and to the organization? They were playing to win. If they felt like he wasn't the best person to get the last 3 outs, they would have put someone else in that game. This was a team where, everything they went through over the last couple of weeks, losing a couple players, the gambling situation, this is a team that we started to count out, that we felt like, are they going to sell? They're going to sell. Are they going to sell? And they decided not to really sell And this is a team, much like I mentioned, like the Brewers have recently, the Astros have recently. This is just a team that figures it out. You count them out, and they figure out ways to just stay relevant. And I think they're only 2 or a game back in the last wild card spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Edwin Jackson somewhere laughing right now, going, I can't believe they're even having this conversation.
That's true. That's true. Well, let me find that for you real quick. We've got a game and a half separation between the Yankees and the Guardians. The
And
Rangers are also
they've won
a game and a
5
half.
or
More.
6, 7 games in a row. Like they're right
Yeah.
back in this. So, I mean, it's easy to leave a guy out there and throw that many pitches, when you're not trying to go to the postseason. When you are playing for, statistics, you're playing for individual accomplishments. But Stephen Vogt's got hired to win. He wants to win. So he left the best guy out there who he felt like can get the last 3 outs.
Yeah, they've had the best record in the American League in the second half of the season so far. I believe it's 14-6. Pretty damn good for a team that did not buy at the trade deadline. They sold. I mean, Shane Bieber hasn't pitched for them, but they sold. Technically sellers at the trade deadline, just like the Tigers were last year and what happened to them. So to be continued. Coming up next, Lawrence Butler with the big contract sitting against lefties, and we're going to tie it into the Roman Anthony extension next. FT fam, we often talk about HelloFresh, but we also talk about Green Chef for your wellness journey. Or if you're a little annoying like me and you need the gluten-free, or you've got a friend that's plant-based, or you're like, hey, I'm going with the protein-heavy approach. They've got it all on Green Chef.
Listen, the weekly meals they come with all the time, it's different, it's satisfying, and it's something you really want to do. I'm a guy that needs something healthy as I move forward. Can't be the chicken tenders and fries all the time. It's got to be those healthy meals that I need as I'm getting older.
Fresh, organic, seasonal produce, 100% responsibly sourced proteins to help you feel your best. Make this summer your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Go to greenchef.com/50territory and use code 50territory to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50territory at greenchef.com/50TERRITORY. 50territory. Hey, we're back for 2 minutes. KP, what's wrong with the Mets? They're 2-8 in their last 10, and it's late in the season. You can't go through this for too long. For a little bit, it's okay, but for too long, got to be careful. And they just, they're not playing well against the Guardians and the Giants in the past week.
I don't think anything's wrong. I think it's baseball. I mean, bad teams beat good teams beat bad teams. Everyone kind of goes through it. It's obviously very magnified at the beginning of the year, and now we're getting towards the end of the year, and it starts to become an issue, but I believe in that team.
Yeah, I'm with KP. I think the offense is a little cold right now, but I think they're going to be fine. I think they played a really quality brand of baseball. I think they have some very motivated guys in the lineup. Pete Alonso has done everything in my eyes under the sun to just prove how special he is, to that organization. Of course, I still have my questions about the starting rotation, but I do believe in this lineup. That's one thing I believe in is this lineup and this bullpen, and I think the lineup will figure it out. They're just going through a tough spell right now, but they're in a good spot, and I think guys are going to figure it out when they need to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a good-looking bullpen.
And again, this is the thing. They have guys that care, right? And KP knows he was in that clubhouse as well. You have leaders like Frankie Lindor. You have guys like Pete. You have guys like Cedric Mullins. They have guys that care, right? And they're going to be talking about, hey, what do you see? What do you feel? They're going to bounce ideas off each other, and they're going to figure it out.
Hot corner time. Are you letting your future stars or long-term franchise players truly cook? It's very relevant right now when Lawrence Butler is now sitting for a third consecutive game against a left-handed pitcher. And obviously it could be something going on behind the scenes where, you know, sometimes a guy is feeling something a little hurt, whatever, and you just don't get it. But if that's not the case, Cam, I checked the standings. The A's aren't in it this year. I checked the contract. The A's are living with Law long term, and they love him. And I checked the stats from last year. He was destroying left-handed pitching. It's been more of a down season for him this year. But is this the right move to start platooning him to this extent when you want him to thrive against lefties and righties going forward?
Well, I think you can think about it a few different ways, right? When you have a young guy like Law who is locked in, and you just said it, they're not going anywhere, and he hasn't hit lefties like he did last season. And as a young player, you know you're going to go through these ups and downs, you know, early in your career. And I think this could just be a moment where Cox is just saying, "Hey, man, we're going to give you a couple reset days, right?" Also, too, you know, Cox's job, and Cox has done a really good job of setting his young guys up for success. And we know Law is a part of the long-term plan. And I think this could just be as simple as Kotz, who he was my veteran when I was in San Diego. He was the guy who told me to, hey, when they offer you a deal that you never expected or more money than you ever seen, might be a good idea to sign it. And I'm glad I did. It was the best thing I did in my career. So Kotz, one thing I know about Mark Kotze, he cares about his guys. And I think this just may be, if anything, just some time for Law Dog to clear his head and just kind of figure some things out in the cages before he gets him back in there. But if I had to guess, he'll be right back in there facing lefties before you know it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it's like you said, is it a reset? Is it a couple days? Is it a thing? Or is it something that they're permanently going to do? But, you know, I'm a big believer in, I understand how difficult baseball is. You know, I know we talked about a guy like Mookie Betts, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best players of our generation, maybe one of the best players I've ever been around personally. He's struggling this year. Baseball doesn't care who you are, how much money you're making. It is hard to be great year in and year out. When you are in a position where a team is throwing money at you that is more money than you've ever dreamed of making and is going to make your life, you're going to be set for life and your kids are going to be set for life. It's hard to say no to that. It really, really is. You know, and I wanted to touch a little bit on, you know, some of the things I saw yesterday, and we're talking about the what ifs. I'm not a big believer in what ifs in this game because it's easy in a vacuum to say, oh, yeah, if he doesn't take the deal, he's going to make X amount in ARB year one and year two and year three, and he can sign for $500 or $600 million. Yeah, that's great if everything works out. But what if it doesn't? We never really talk about the players where it doesn't work out, where they sign deals, but now they're in AAA and they're making $5-6 million a year. You think they're enjoying themselves a little bit more playing in, you know, Syracuse or Buffalo or wherever they're at?
Yeah, yesterday we talked about it, the Roman Anthony extension. I mean, for as good as he is, I'm with you, KP. I mean, everyone's got a number. At some point, you got to look at the number like, this is crazy good money. He's not locked up until he's 36 years old. He will hit the free agent market again. You're just eating up the entire 20s for him. And hey, how do you think I will present the counterpoint, even though I don't think Roman Anthony is going to be like this. Ronald Acuna Jr. has been hurt a good amount, but when he's on the field, I mean, he's a superstar. Do you think he feels okay with the fact that he signed an 8-year, $100 million contract way back and he could have been a free agent a while ago? Now, I know his knee has gotten shredded up, but if he hit free agency, you know, the season in between when he got hurt, he could have gotten hundreds of millions of dollars. So do you think he's okay with what he did because he at least got the security? And again, we're talking about, this isn't like, oh, he signed for $1 million, $100 million. He's going to be okay.
I was his teammate 2 years ago, and he's driving some pretty nice cars to the field. He comes to the field with a really big smile on his face, and he seems to be very happy. Yeah, it's easy to talk about the what if, but what if he didn't sign that $100 million deal and he was just playing it out and trying to get that big contract and then he hurts the knee and then he hurts the knee again? Are we talking about, you know, is he the same type of player? Is he going to get the same amount of money? You know, and it's also easy. We never talk about when a player does sign up, you know, long-term for, you know, $100 million, or maybe they should have got 400. You know, it's a little bit easier going to bed at night, going 0 for 4 or 0 for 8. Like, the paycheck's still coming in. As a player that went year to year, there's a lot of stress on that. People don't understand that. And granted, I'm sitting in a position, I made good money in my career, but there's times I wish that I would have been offered, maybe if I could have been offered the same amount of money that I made in my career in year one, and I could have just been able to kind of take a deep breath and just understand I'm going to be in one place for a long time. The paycheck's coming in. I don't have to worry about the what if down the road. Would I have been a better player? I don't know. That's the tough question with something like this.
But this is how you guys have to look at it for me, because before we talked about it prior to, and Scott, and I love that you brought up Ronald Acuna, right? And when you bring up Ronald Acuna, this is what I did. I made a list. Check this out. Julio Rodriguez, 14-year, $210 million, up to $470 million. He has not played like a $400 million player. Michael Harris signs an 8-year, $72 million deal. The defense is still elite. He has not replicated that offense. Adley Rushman, 8 years, $113. He has not played like that type of catcher.
Wait, no, Adley hasn't signed. Hold up.
Oh, excuse. Oh, Adley didn't sign.
You were cooking, but then I had to stop you on that one.
But Adley didn't sign. So okay, skip Adley. Hey, skip Adley. Luis Roberts Jr. Right, hasn't played up to that contract. He's good for life. Eloy Jimenez, Key Bryant Hayes. Hey, Scott Kingery. You know what I'm saying? Andres Jimenez. These are guys who have not performed like they, did when they got offered those deals. So for me, this is why I think it's important. Like KP said, they're going to be the Acuñas, but you're also going to have a list full of these guys also who, it was good that they signed these deals when you look at the way that they're playing, because they might not get those offers ever again.
I mean, even just this year, we talk about Christian Campbell. He got off to the best start I'd ever seen. And I watched him on opening day, and I was like, I've never really even, I started to hear about him a little bit on TV in spring training. And I was fortunate I got to watch him play on opening day. And I was like, wow, this guy is amazing. And then honestly, in the first week, he signs this deal. You know where he's at right now?
In the bushes.
Yep.
He's in the bushes.
Yeah, we mentioned it.
And there was these same talks about, why did he take the $60 million? Was it $60 million? I don't want to misspeak. I know it was somewhere between
60
million.
Yeah,
$60 million. It's like, oh, we're judging a guy off of 1 week in the big leagues. We're judging him off 1 week. Oh, this guy, he's going to make $300 million in his career. Why is he going to take the $60 million? The guy's playing in AAA right now.
That's right.
Baseball is hard. Baseball is hard.
Scott Kingery, literally. How you think Scott Kingery feels? That's probably the best thing that guy did.
I know how he feels. Rich. He feels rich. And the thing is,
exactly,
there is risk on both sides. Teams take the risk KP too, but most of the time they get the surplus value on the back end. So I think it levels out. I think it's a good idea. Yeah. And like you said, the comfort for the player can often lead to better performance, and guys just thinking about the team and not themselves and not their next situation to make sure that they were still there.
Right. You watch Julio Rodriguez. That's exactly how he plays. Julio Rodriguez played, and again, he's having these moments, but he literally plays like, I'm just playing for the team. Even when I'm struggling, he's smiling. He's a team guy, but you can't tell me that security does not help, right? He's like, hey, at the end of the day, like, you know what? I'm not playing like this money that I'm offering, so I'm going to be the best teammate in the freaking world. And I'm sure that's who he is anyway, but it helps you out a whole bunch. KP is exactly right about that.
Hey, let's step aside for a moment here. Jack Harris, LA Times, ready to go. In the green room, we'll talk Dodgers. We'll talk Shohei Ohtani's 1,000th hit. And he was pretty good on the mound, too. Actually, all of this plays into the conversation we were just having. So the Phillies show was talking about Max Kepler, and they said if he doesn't start producing, he could be the odd man out once Harrison Bader is taken over in center field. Bader is not a platoon guy. They said at some point you're going to have to cut bait. Kepler signed a 1-year contract for, I think, $10 million in the offseason. Cam, did you mention Eloy Jimenez, or you said Luis Robert when you were talking about the extension guys? Or did you say both?
I said both.
You said both. Yeah,
guys.
I mean, Eloy, dude, I'm looking back at my notes from when Eloy signed. 6 years, $43 million, spring training 2019, crushed the record for a minor leaguer with no MLB time. Yeah. And people were
Yeah,
like, this guy's going to be the next 50 homer bat in the sport. How could he just take $43 million? It's like, I don't even think he's playing ball right now. And if he is, it's not in the majors.
yeah, I mean, and seriously, and again, I messed up on Adley hadn't signed, but you look at those deals, and I remember that too, Sky. We're like, what is this guy doing? I mean, this guy's the next coming of who? I mean, it was like, what is going on? But the game is so hard and it's so unpredictable. And KP knows some days you wake up on the baseball field, and I had years where I literally felt like I forgot how to play the game. Like literally, you play since you were 3 years old, and I had seasons where I literally have cried in the car, man. I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, who am I, right? I told you, you feel like the monster zapped the power from you. So, again, to have that type of, incentive to fall back on, man, it feels good. Listen, when I signed my deal in San Diego and I had those days, it helped me sleep a lot better thinking about some of the security, man. Like, whew, man, you know what? Yeah, did I think I was a $100 million guy? Yeah, I did. Did I play that way? No, I didn't end up playing that way, clearly. But that little bit of security, man, when I tell you I'm so grateful for Mark Kotsay telling me, hey, man, listen, I signed the one deal early in my year. It was like $52 million. I signed it. It changed my family's life forever. And it was never off another contract, whatever the story was. And it was the best thing I ever did. It was the best thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Max Kepler actually signed one of those in 2019 as well. 5 years, 35 mil. And I mean,
and we thought he was going to be something.
Yeah.
And Max has been good. He's had moments.
He's been okay.
He's had glimpses. And he's a spec, but
now he might get caught.
You keep bringing the name Adley Rutschman up. The way he's playing right now, you don't think I'm guessing.
There you go.
I'm guessing he had a deal probably similar to what you said. Maybe that's where you got the number from. You thinking he wish he would have signed something like that now?
Man, exactly.
Shohei Ohtani had a day yesterday. He was dealing. He struck out the side in the fourth inning. He punched out 8. He hit a dinger. It was his 1,000th career hit, and it went to center field, Ohtani style. Now, his team lost the game 5-3, so we'll get into that as well. But we are again witnessing something that no one else has done really ever in our sport. You can go back to Babe Ruth. There was a little bit of a different style and a different game back then. Shohei Ohtani is one of a kind. Jack Harris, LA Times, that's the pleasure of watching Ohtani often in person. Jack, great to have you back on the show. So how did Ohtani look? Because I will also mention that there was some concern from fans about the cramping that he had, and I think those concerns are dwindling.
Yeah, I mean, he can still pitch a little bit. He can still swing the bat pretty hard. I mean, and even in that game in Cincinnati, like, he was pitching okay until the fourth inning. It was really like the first time all year he's kind of looked human in a way of just like not being able on one day to physically, get through a full two-way outing. So to see him come back yesterday and look as dominant as he did on the mound, continue to look as sharp as he has coming off a second Tommy John, which I think is kind of the underrated part of all this, is just how seamlessly he's come back as a pitcher this year. And then to have another good day at the plate. He had been struggling a little bit. He'd only been hitting, like 230 since he started pitching again back in June. But the last week, you've seen him get on base a little bit more. You've seen him come up with some really big hits. And then, obviously the home run he had yesterday put him in position to win the game. It was his 1,000th career hit. So for all the little other things that the Dodgers are still working through right now, to have that guy playing as well as he is again, probably is the biggest reason for hope that they have going into these final 2 months here, that they can play up to their ceiling in a way that they haven't really done for an extended stretch this season.
Hey, Jack, as a fan, now that I'm on the side of a fan and now media as well, and we talk about things like voter fatigue, and I'm not even talking about the MVP race. Do the Dodgers fans still appreciate how special it is to watch Shohei Ohtani on a daily basis now that he's back on the mound as well? I know last year he was incredible as a DH, but to see what he's doing on both sides, I think sometimes as fans, we take for granted how special this is. I mean, it hadn't happened over, centuries, since Babe Ruth. How special, is it to watch, and do they still appreciate how good he really is?
Yeah, I think especially just because they're getting to watch him pitch for the first time since he didn't do it last year. And to see him, like watching him pitch is it's just a visually kind of different experience. He throws the ball so hard. He's such an imposing presence up on the mound. He has a little bit of a different demeanor. Like, when he's hitting, he can be kind of playful, waving around at guys. And when he's pitching, Dave Roberts has talked about this, just has a little bit more of an edge out there. Like, okay, this is the thing that, going all the way back to when he was coming up, like he always kind of looked at himself as a pitcher first. So I think that's been a cool thing for fans to get to experience. Obviously, in a game like yesterday where he strikes out 8 guys and then goes to the plate and hits a home run, for all he did last year, that kind of experience is a different thing. And I think, again, has been one of the cooler parts about this season for the Dodgers is because when he signed last year, there was some uncertainty about, okay, how long is it going to take him to go back to being a two-way player? Is he going to be as good as a pitcher once he does try to return to it? Can he be, as good at this incredibly difficult role as he was with the Angels? And so far he has been. And I think it's been one of the things that Dodger fans have appreciated most about this season.
KP, you up?
Yeah, I mean, we were going to just talk about his 1,000th hit right here. And during the break, I was able to get my 1,000th hit off my shelf. This is one of my pride and joys. But it took me almost 10 years to get it. So there's not really a question here. I just want to say it makes me sick how good he is, how quickly he was able to get it. But my question to you is just being around the team, watching the team. I know it's a real thing. I've been a part of some good teams that have been to the playoffs every year. And really, they're playing to win a World Series. Do you think there's an element of just a little bit of complacency in the regular season right now? Just, kind of count down the days, waiting to get to the regular season. Obviously, they've had some health issues too. But, when you're a team that goes to the playoffs every year, I don't want to make breaking news here, but the regular season to a lot of those guys is a little bit boring. It's kind of all practice games until they get to the real season. Do you get that? Do you get a sense of that at all?
Yeah, I mean, that's always been something the Dodgers, as you know, Kevin, would have to battle over the last, decade now with the run of success that they've had. I think especially this year, I mean, you look back at the last 18 months for this team, they've had 2 international trips to Korea and Japan. They have had the circus of the media circus of having Shohei Ohtani around and all that's gone into that. They have last year's, World Series run. They have this offseason where they spend a bunch of money and there's all this talk about are they bad for the sport or whatnot. And yeah, I think what you might be seeing now is a team that has all of that baggage in the background coupled with Max Muncy was hurt and some of their best hitters were struggling. And you're at that part of the season where, especially when you're in kind of an extended slump as a lineup, it's hard to generate a lot of energy if guys aren't hitting and you have, key guys that are out injured and you're kind of trying to grind through the year. I think to that end, the impressive part about what the Dodgers have done so far is keep themselves in first place, is to overcome some of the injuries and underperformances and just the general grind of the season and still be in a pretty good spot going into the last 2 months. But now they're getting to the point where they do need to flip the switch a little bit, especially as the Padres keep nipping at their heels, especially as the rest of the NL continues to play well. I mean, the Dodgers want to win the division. They want to have a top 2 seed. And if they're going to do that, they're going to have to be a lot better over these last 2 months and kind of find that higher gear again, like they did, way back at the start of the season when they got off to a hot start.
You talk about flipping the switch, Jack. Is there any chance when we flip that switch and the lights come on, will we see Mookie Betts in right field? Because I truly believe, Dave Roberts has done this for a long time. He was one of my mentors in San Diego. But I spoke about this the other day and started somewhat of a debate. I truly believe if you want to take some pressure, some mental pressure off of Mookie Betts, because I think it's between the ears. I know physically he went through some things early in the season, but I just really believe, having gone through a position change, moving him back to right field would really free up some mental space and allow him to just do something that he's really accustomed to in the big leagues and go out and just focus on hitting. Like, what are the chances that, when that switch comes back on, we see Mookie in right? And not to mention, it might make the defense better. When you put Teo in left, it kind of lines everything up in the way that I think defensively, bodes well for the Dodgers.
I mean, this has been the big unanswerable question with Mookie Betts this season and kind of what it means for the team. He's been pretty adamant that playing shortstop is not the reason why he has struggled. He points to the fact that last year he hit really well over the first half of the season while initially making that switch. The fact that at the start of this season, he got off to a good start his first couple of weeks while trying to, reacclimate at the shortstop position. At the same time, the longer this slump has gone on, the harder it is to not look at the shortstop thing as at least being a factor. And maybe it's not the reason he has slumped or did kind of lose his mechanics with the swing, but it might be something that certainly isn't helping him get out of it. I think the challenge this year compared to last year when they did move him back to right field down the stretch and did have him there when they won the World Series is that the roster, it doesn't quite line up as well. If you put him back in right, you probably could move Teoscar to the left. You'd have Andy Pages in center, but they've liked the way Michael Conforto's been swinging the bat. They added another outfielder and Alex Call at the trade deadline. They certainly haven't operated as if they're planning to move Mookie Betts back to the outfield at some point. And then Mookie Betts has been a lot better at shortstop this year than he was last year, and I think he does take pride in that. In the fact that he's become an above league average player at one of the most demanding positions defensively. This though is all kind of part of the calculus the Dodgers have to weigh. Now Dave Roberts has been adamant, like I don't see if I just put him in right field one day he's suddenly going to have 3 hits and everything's fixed. And I do think that whatever the cumulative toll of playing shortstop has been, at this point, I don't know if moving him to the outfield kind of undoes all that and fixes it. So I'm not expecting him to move. The Dodgers certainly haven't indicated that that's going to be something they consider at all. They like what he's giving them defensively. They think that there's still going to be some production in his bat come the end of the season. One thing that he did well last year is he didn't finish the season all that great. The last 3 weeks, he was really bad going into the playoffs. But then he got to October and just kind of wiped the slate clean, focused on putting together more competitive at-bats, got out of his head a little bit about all the mechanics, and then had a really nice postseason. That's kind of what the Dodgers are banking on again, and this time doing it probably with him at shortstop.
Yeah, I want to give my flowers to Will Smith, and I guess my question to you is: are we not making a big enough deal of the season he's having? I mean, he's on the verge of potentially winning the batting title as a catcher, and I don't know the historical context. I know it hasn't been done in recent history. I don't know how many years, but are we not making it sounds like we, the media, I guess I'm part of the media now because I'm no longer a player, but should we be making a bigger deal of it?
No, I mean, I made this exact point too, Will, at the All-Star game because I wrote about how his season's gone overlooked. And I said, I think even from us, we've kind of, missed exactly how good you've been this year because he has. This is a guy who, especially the last couple years, was dealing with injuries, did not have very good second halves to the season. And there were some questions about, was he going to get back to being this top of the line offensive catcher that it looked like he was going to be early in his career. And this year, it's been pretty simple for him. He said, he's healthy. He's been able to stay fresh. That he's kind of teetering right on that line of having enough qualified or enough plate appearances to be a qualified hitter because they have been managing his workload a little bit more. And he's just found something with his swing that he said has been repeatable, for basically the entire season. This is a guy who's always had kind of a simple, compact, repeatable motion. He struggled getting to fastballs the last couple of years while he was dealing with some injury stuff. But now that he's healthy again, he can cover all parts of the plate so well. He has such a good eye. He might not hit 30 home runs. He's not going to have a Cal Raleigh kind of season. He's not going to have a Shohei Ohtani kind of season in terms of, some of the top line numbers. But in terms of someone who's been a consistent, productive, top of the line hitter, especially for a lineup that lately has needed that kind of consistent production. There's few guys I think that have been more valuable to their teams than Will Smith, especially when you layer on what he's done behind the plate and managing a pitching staff that's used to 40 different pitchers this year. So I think even within the Dodgers this year, he's gone a little bit overlooked, but he's going to be someone at the end of the year that, it'd probably be a surprise if he doesn't win the batting title right now. And is probably going to be getting some MVP votes too.
You talk about getting some guys back, pitching, right? The starting rotation. And I don't know if it's going to be a starting role or a bullpen role, but where is Roki Sasaki right now in his journey back to helping the Dodgers, like you said, trying to win another World Series title?
He's in a throwing program. He's supposed to do a 3-inning live BP at the end of this week, after which he could go out on a rehab assignment. And the hope is that he'll be back as a starter maybe near the end of this month, early in September. In terms of a longer-term role, it's going to be open-ended. Dave Roberts put it this way, just saying, when we go into October, we're going to take the 13 best arms we have. If Roki Sasaki's one of them, whether it's to help fill out the rotation or maybe serve in a bullpen role, he'll be part of that group. And if he's not, he won't be. And that's going to be the big question for Roki, assuming he can come back healthy, he can get through a rehab assignment without any more setbacks. It's how does he look? His fastball was only sitting around 96 at the start of the year. That's a pitch that's supposed to be closer to 100 and kind of needs to be closer to 100 because it's just a little bit flatter and easier to hit. And opponents were able to square it up a lot early in the season. Can he locate his splitter a little bit better? It's a really good pitch. It's got, you even Dodger teammates have lauded, just how tough it is to pick up in the box and the kind of movement he gets on it. But if he can't throw it for strikes, it becomes easier to lay off. And then he's tried to add a two-seamer too, which I think is something that's just an interesting development for a guy who clearly at this stage of his career is trying to figure out, okay, how does my stuff play in the big leagues? What do I need to do to get big league hitters out? He struggled with that while being primarily a fastball splitter guy at the start of the season with a few sliders mixed in. So I think it's a good sign of growth that he's willing to embrace, trying out a two-seamer, trying something new, and seeing if it gives him a little bit more success when he does come back this year as the Dodgers try to figure out if he's somebody that they can trust in a postseason environment.
Well, somebody I know they can trust, and I continue to say there's no stat for character, but there's also no stat for moxie, right? How important is it, and has it been to get Max Muncy back in that lineup? We saw him hit, 2 homers Tuesday night and in a struggling lineup. How, just important is his energy and him being in that lineup? How much does it mean to this Dodgers team?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously everything he does with the bat and the ability to work good at bats and supply some power and get on base and make things happen. But, Dave Roberts described it as just the presence of having him in the lineup, especially with how well he was hitting before he got hurt, with what he looked like on Tuesday with the 2 home run game. There's something about, especially for a team that's been struggling, just knowing that they have that one extra guy in the lineup who can help make something happen, that one extra guy that lengthens things out a little bit, who can deliver a big swing. And then when he does, just kind of raise the confidence and the energy around the team. And I think that's what you've seen from Max Muncy, maybe more than any other player outside of Shohei Ohtani this year, which is when Muncy's hot and he's hitting big home runs and he's getting on base and he's making things happen, the Dodgers have been really good. They were the highest scoring offense in baseball before he got hurt. And then they were the lowest scoring offense in baseball during the 25 games he missed. That's not all because of him. There's some other factors that went into that, other guys struggling while he was out. But a stat like that really underlines how important he's been, not just with what he's been able to produce, but also just the way his presence in the lineup can change a little bit what the Dodgers are able to do offensively.
That sounds like a fun case on his side when they have another contract discussion. I think he usually signs like those 2-year extensions. He could just be like, I'm going to play you this clip from Jack Harris on Foul Territory on August 7th. And you guys make the offer the way you want to make it. And I want to be here, right?
He's picking the wrong year to do this ahead of a team option next year, I'm afraid. But
that's true.
But yeah, it's going to be
a no. They can tack it on, though.
Hey, they do a lot of
haven't they been doing that? They tack on an extra year or two, or something like that. Yep.
Dodgers are the one team that I feel like have done some really good faith deals and taking care of guys.
Kershaw. That's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I think it's funny we're sitting here. I think it's funny we're sitting here talking about the Dodgers as if they're not playing well, where they're not a good team. They still have the best record in the NL. It's just that expectation they've created for themselves, the Dodger brand. We expect them to never lose.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of like the story of this year so far, is that for all that's gone wrong, they are still in a good position here. It's just about, can they show that kind of that higher level version of themselves down the stretch if they're going to try to defend a World Series.
Okay, one last one before you go then. With that said, what are they hoping the rotation looks like going into October? Like, what are they hoping? Injuries and everything involved. What do they say, best case scenario, this is our starting rotation going into the playoffs? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, in an ideal world, in some order, it's Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, and then whatever you're getting out of Ohtani, which at this point, could be 5 or 6 innings at least one time in a playoff series, maybe a couple if you try to put him in a game 1 and a game 5 or something like that. So assuming they stay healthy, I think that's the biggest difference about how this team might look the rest of the year compared to how it's been up to this point, is that the starting pitching should be better, should be healthy, should be a lot closer to what they envisioned coming into the year. And if they get that, I think it takes care of a lot of the other problems that they've had. But then again, they've had a lot of years the last few seasons where they expected to have a certain amount of productive and trustworthy guys in their rotation, and then got to October and didn't. So as long as that group stays healthy and productive, I think they're going to be okay. And I think they're going to look a lot closer to the 100+ win team we expected to see this year. But that still is a little bit of an if as they try to navigate these last 2 months.
That's true. I think they'll have more firepower in October from their rotation than they did last year, and they did win a World Series last year. Jack, good stuff. Thanks for stopping by. Give Jack a follow at @ByJackHarris on Twitter. Check him out in the LA Times. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, guys.
All right, FT fam, be right back. Everyone's favorite power rankings coming up next. Where do the Dodgers stand for KP, Cam, and me? We're going to look at some BetMGM lines coming up, but first want to remind everyone the free game of the day tonight at 6:40 Eastern is the Reds matching up with the Pirates. It is a Paul Skeens day. It's streaming on the live streaming on the BetMGM app, and it's available to all BetMGM customers logged in and with funded accounts. I think the Reds are plus 140 money line. I was very tempted to take them. We'll go over our picks later, but that's a good one to check out later. It's a Skeens day. Line movement. Let's see if we can get through 2 here. Open to now. Dodgers opened at plus 400. Now they're at plus 250 to win the World Series. Phillies from plus 1100 to plus 800, and the Tigers are huge movers. Right now they're at plus 900 to win the World Series. They started the season, or a little before that, right when the line opened, at plus 4,000. That's a nice little jump there, KP. Tigers in a better spot than what most people thought, including the books.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they should have been, plus 4,000 after the type of season they had, but maybe people thought it was a little bit of a unsustainable run they went on at the end of the season. But I mean, if you're a Tigers fan and you're a betting fan and you saw that number early in the year in spring training and you took it, good for you.
That's right. Got a shot. And biggest liability, Cam, for World Series winner with a minute to go here. Angels, Giants, Dodgers. Now, you have to understand what we're talking about here. This means BetMGM takes the biggest hit. If the Angels win the World Series, Giants, there's some people that threw down and got amazing odds. But their odds are long for a reason. Now, with the Dodgers, that's the volume of how many people have thrown down on them to win the World Series. So that explains how this is put together for people that are like, wait, what? The Angels, the Giants? Yeah, there's people going, hey, I'm going to get plus 5,000 on this. Great.
Absolutely, right? That for me, those are the smart bettors, right? Because a lot of those too, you bet the Dodgers, it's like, bet a little to win a little, or bet a lot to win a little. So yeah, of course, why would you not, man? That's how you bet. And I'm not a gambling man, you know that. You guys are still teaching me how to gamble, even though I'm up in the money this year. To me.
Yeah, for me, I'm not touching that. There's a really happy medium there where you can find teams like the Phillies, Padres, etc.
There you go.
Giants and Angels, you're bold if you're going there. But if lightning strikes, great for you. We'll go over our picks coming up. But first, when we swing back, power rankings are back. Power rankings are powered by Arena Club. Yes. Go check out the platform if you're into buying or selling cards. Okay. Cam, we're going to let you go first. Then KP's going to follow you. I'll go last. Give me your 1 through 10. We'll throw the board up there and talk us through how you got there.
Yeah, I try to think outside of the box, right? I don't like to be like everybody else. So I love that we don't conversate before we send in our picks. So for me, number 1 is the Milwaukee Brewers. We talked about it the other day. They have a great leader in man in Pat Murphy. I think, what they continue to do every year is special. Then you have the Cubs right there. The record doesn't lie. I love the offense. Seiya Suzuki should be getting a lot more love as we talk about Kyle Tucker and PCA, who's been phenomenal. And then you got the Phillies. You talk about it all the time, Scotty. The Phillies do what they do during the regular season. They went out and got one of the best bullpen guys in the game. I love the setting when he comes in now. It's lit. And the Blue Jays, right? They locked up their guy in Vladdy Jr. They're playing good baseball right now. They look enthused. They look like they're excited to be back heading to the playoffs. The Dodgers are at 5 for me right now, right? A little bit. Still in first place, right? Still doing what they do and finding a way to win ball games. I've got Padres at 6. I told you I love the chemistry. I love the way they're playing for each other. They had the most impressive trade deadline of anybody in my eyes. I think, filling up a lot of different holes. You got the Mets at 7, still worried about their rotation a little bit. I love what the Mariners do. They have one of the best starting rotations in the game. I mean, it speaks for itself. You talk about Josh Naylor stealing bases. They got one of the best, first base coaches. I still stand on it, even though AJ's probably watching. They have one of the best hitting coaches in Kevin Seitzer. Then you got the Tigers rounding it out. I love what they're doing. I still worry about that offense. And the Astros, like KP said earlier, teams like the Astros, the Guardians, they just find a way to win when it's time to win. And that's probably what a top 10 power ranking should look like. If you have anything different, I'm sorry, you're probably wrong.
Okay, so then we're going to quickly go to KP, but I'm going to make sure I point out a couple things I noticed, KP, as you're going to walk us through yours. I did not see the Red Sox or the Rangers on Cam's list, and they're not on mine either. I'll get to that. I also noticed there is one team that is in a very different spot, KP, on yours compared to Cam's. Do you know the team that I'm talking about that's in a much better
but
position?
I was really nervous doing this. This was my first time doing this, and I was nervous. But I will say that I factored in the standings. I factored in trade deadline acquisitions and really just how they played recently. I mean, I don't know how everyone does their power ranking board. And I will say I went a little bit conservative here. I added an 11th team. I had a tie at 2. But I will say teams probably from 5 to 10 are probably interchangeable. So if we can get my list up there, but the very obvious is I went with the Brewers number 1. How could you not go with the Blue Jays at number 2 with they're in first place and probably the toughest division in baseball. I know they just played the Rockies, but you still got to beat bad teams. And, winning games in the major leagues is hard. And what they just did in Colorado was historic. The Phillies with their rotation, their star power, the Phillies are the Phillies. The Mets was a team that, as we got into the conversation about the Mets a little bit, I could have probably moved them down a little bit there. But like I said, probably from this point on, I think all those teams could kind of be interchangeable for me. But I had to give my flowers to the Red Sox. I have to give my flowers to the Rangers because the way the Red Sox have been playing after the break and what the Rangers were able to do after the trade deadline and, almost swept the Yankees, just swept the series before. And I still don't think they're firing on all cylinders offensively. I definitely think they deserve to be in there, but I didn't want anyone to get upset with me, so I had to go with an extra team. I probably could have put the Tigers in there too, but the Tigers aren't playing great right now. I do believe that they are a top 10 team, but right now, the way that they've been playing over their last 10 or 15 games, they're just the next team probably looking in for me.
Wow. All right. So, Cam, first off, just with the obvious, are we okay with 11 when we
first off, listen, KP, if you ask anybody about KP, one of the best guys you're ever going to come across, and it still shows. Listen, this is what I learned, KP, and I had to learn this in my first year. You can't make everybody happy, all right, man? You know what? You don't have to leave somebody else. And it's kind of fun when you go to your little X page and you see people giving you hell a little bit. It's fun a little bit. So I encourage you to tap into pissing somebody off.
Trouble finds me. Believe me. I've been dealing with it for a while. But I'll be honest with you. I got the text from the group, send your power rankings in. So I looked at the standings. I looked at how they've been playing recently. And then I just started typing names in the order. And I got to 9 and 10 so quick. And I was like, dang, I forgot some teams. So that's the real reason why I put the 11th team in there is because I just started typing teams. And I'm like, dang, I forgot about the Cubs. And instead of fully rearranging everything, I just, took the easy way out and I put, 10 teams. And you're lucky I didn't really do what I wanted to do because after 5, I believe all those teams are interchangeable right now.
But that's why it's
We
fun. That's why it's power rankings, and that's
and
why
it's your
Cam had the
list.
Cubs too. And you were
Yeah, and
like,
that's the other
I'm
thing I
not
want to
sure
say.
if I'm
It's
going to
my
put him on.
list. It's my
It's
list.
your list.
It's not scientifically proven. I have no hypothesis. It's my list. You can't argue with
Exactly.
me about my list. That is my opinion. You can go out and have your top 10 ranking, and I'm not going to argue you. We can have some friendly debate about it, like, hey, why do you believe that this team's in the 4-hole or not the 6-hole? It's my list. Stop getting mad at me for how I feel. And this is the list I came up with.
All
And
right,
you know
let's
what?
throw
I
mine
don't
up
hate
there
the Blue
too.
Jays. I want to see Scotty's though. I want to see what Scotty has.
Okay, so here I'll walk you through it. I mean, the Brewers are the smallest TV market, bottom third payroll, and they're like, don't care. They're one right now. Best record in baseball. I think it's a team that's going to be really good. They've got it all going. Yes, I factored in trade deadline. I didn't love what they did, obviously, but they're still cranking, so I'm good there. Dodgers, 2 for me. Record's still there. Guys are coming back, like Muncy, making a big difference. Maybe Roki at some point. Phillies for me at 3. They got stronger at the trade deadline. I like what they're bringing to October with that bullpen. Is it the best in baseball? No, but it's going to be up there for October when you shrink how many people you need to trust bullpen wise. So I like what the Phillies are selling me, and it's a really good regular season team. Padres jump up. They're in the number 4 slot, and that could move even quicker if they keep this up. That's a basically new looking team to me. Mets 5, really strong year. Bad past week or so. I still don't love, as I always have, the Frankie Montas edition, and I think he'll be booted at some point from the rotation. But for now, still a very good team. I was close with them in the Cubs. Cubs a better offense right now. I don't trust their pitching as much as I do the Mets. Mets starters probably in a similar spot, but I like their bullpen better than the Cubs. Blue Jays. So this is the big difference for me. I've got 6 teams in the National League, and then I begin the American League, which is exactly what I did last year. And here we are again. Blue Jays, Tigers, Astros, Mariners, rounding it out for me. Tough one for me, guys, was Red Sox and Rangers. I think there's a top 12, and then I think it's a big drop off, but that's not how this works. So anyway, that's my
Yeah,
list.
it does work like that. I have 11 teams. You could have done what I did.
I can't do
but,
it.
you know,
I can't do it.
I will say where I do agree with you the most, Scotty, and where I had my most difficult time is I think me and you have been lockstep and key on this. I think the National League is so far superior than the American League. But I do believe the Blue Jays are the exception right now. I like what they have, and that's why they're in my top 3. I do as I look, and this is why I love doing this, because you guys, I won't say easily swayed, but the more I look at it, I do agree with you guys. If you did disagree with me, that I probably could move the Tigers down on my list for sure.
Yeah, I was
But
looking at all of our
I'm with you,
lists.
Scotty. I
think-
liked all the National League teams. I like how you did it because I do agree with you. I don't think, like KP said, I don't anymore think that's the toughest division in baseball. I really don't. I think Tampa is, I think they are who they are. Who else? The Orioles are not what they've been the last 2 seasons. So, and the Yankees, just to be honest with you, they're so inconsistent and they beat themselves so much that it's hard for me to say that like I used to believe that. So I do agree with you, Scott. I do like your list on the fact that I do believe the National League is much more superior than the American League this year. I do.
Yeah, I mean, just for my test, that's what I'm seeing. And also,
Yeah.
someone from that top team is waiting to join us, so we're going to get to him. Let's show his teammate here on the way out, Christian Yelich. There's one of thousands and thousands of cards that you can acquire on Arena Club, either by buying, if you have that card, selling slab packs, if you're looking to get a big card, but it's super expensive. This is an opportunity for you to land that card, the Holy Grail. Look it up. arenaclub.com/foul. I get the question all the time. Am I getting the actual card? Of course, it's in your showroom. And if you want the card itself, you ask for it and you get it physically. But if you're trying to sell, you don't need to get the card physically. You can just sell it within the platform. Use the code FOUL, FOUL, for 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. Be right back with Andrew Vaughn of the Brewers. All right, TV crowd, we're back in 2 minutes, or TV crowd's in commercial break, but if you're watching on YouTube, you don't get those right now. So while we wait for Andrew Vaughn in a couple minutes, let's show, I think, a former KP team. Did you spend a minute with Syracuse, with the Chiefs?
No, I played in Syracuse. I was never on the Syracuse Mets, but I did play in Syracuse.
and I just call them the Chiefs,
As a
but the
I
Syracuse Mets.
I was a Met. I was a Syracuse Met for a second.
You were a Syracuse
towards
Met?
the end of my career. Yeah.
Okay,
towards the
well,
end of my
Cam,
career,
they
I
don't
was a
like the name
Syracuse Met.
anymore. Okay, well, they don't like the name. They want to rename it. So they're doing a community contest, and they want help. Anyone have any ideas? They did this with Binghamton and turned into the Rumble Ponies, which is an A+ name.
Yeah, I really, you know what? I totally dropped the ball on this one. All I remember, it was never really any fans there. It was always really quiet. I don't know, just the Syracuse soundless fans. I don't know. It wasn't
How about
the greatest
tundras? Because
environment.
whenever I've gone up there, it's negative 10 degrees and snowing 8 feet.
There you go. I'm down
I-
with that. The Syracuse Tundra.
I see a potential a partnership here. When I think Syracuse, New York, I think dinosaur barbecue. So how about the Syracuse Dinosaurs?
Okay.
There you go. Cool
I like
mascot,
that name.
possibly.
Ooh, yeah.
I
Mhm.
like that. You could definitely have a fire mascot running around there. There you go.
Yeah,
See,
can you imagine a
thoughtful. I
little
like that.
dinosaur?
That'd be. Hey, you know who would love that? You'll probably have a lot more families coming out, right? Kids coming out. They would enjoy that. So, and that's what they need there. I just remember not a lot of fans. So, hey, the Syracuse Dinos. I like that, right?
You
Yeah,
could
and
do a
how did
remake
the
of Barney.
fan? How
Yeah,
did the
I'm
fan
serious.
voting go to end up with a name like the Rumble Ponies? Like, did they just like everyone submitted their name and then they like pulled them out of a hat and they're like, okay, let's vote, and someone just creatively was like, hey, Rumble Ponies, that sounds great.
There's some story to it that we don't know because we didn't look it
Right.
up. But I like dinosaurs. I mean, you could do like a badass version of Barney and bring him out there, like more of a devilish Barney, and have him running
Or
around.
I don't know if you remember Barney, Scotty, but do you remember BJ? I think it was like the yellow dinosaur.
Yeah,
that used to
I
be on
remember.
Barney.
Yeah.
Because I think
mean,
the
I was
Rockies
in the
kind
Barney
of
era.
like the Rockies kind of they have a mascot that kind of looks like Barney a little bit. So let's go like with BJ and go with the yellow. He had like the cool sneakers. Like that was my favorite, character off the Barney episodes was that dinosaur character. So I think we could switch it up. Maybe some yellow and something in
Orange.
there. And
Orange for Mets
there
and
you go.
Syracuse. Orange
There you
dinosaur.
go. Fire.
All right, FT is back on TVs across the nation, and Kevin Pillar is going to welcome in his former teammate. KP, you want to do the intro?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do a brief intro. I mean, former teammate of mine. It was short-lived, but obviously very impactful. We played together in spring training. I was with the White Sox for 1 month, but got to know Andrew Vaughn, got to know his wife. Was just a great teammate, and obviously, we're very happy to have you on the show. Now, Milwaukee Brewer. We're obviously going to touch on going from last to first, but how you doing?
Doing good. I mean, definitely a whirlwind of a year for me, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to stay
Andrew-
awake a little bit from the obvious because I know Cam wants to kind of touch on, culture of, obviously going from the White Sox to the Brewers. But I kind of just want to talk about a little bit about your journey. Everyone's path in the big leagues is a little bit different. Yours is much different than mine. I was a guy who was kind of up and down in the minor leagues, big leagues, AAA, and then I finally got my opportunity. You got your opportunity. You made the most of it. You played really well, and then you struggled a little bit, and you got sent down to AAA. Was that a little bit of a wake-up call for you? I know as a player, you always know that that's a reality, but someone like you that, for the most part, was kind of smooth sailing, you kind of forget that that's a reality, and then one day you just find out you're going to AAA. Was that just kind of a little bit of a wake-up call for you?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I mean, first 2 months of the season didn't go any way I wanted to. The goal is to go out there and help your team win, and, felt like I wasn't able to do that. I was taking my best at bats. I always put it all on the line, no matter what. And just not to see the results, it stung. Getting to AAA, I think the biggest goal was just get right. Get myself back to what I do in the box. And, I kind of felt like I was moving that way, and then the trade happened.
Hey, Andrew, I wanna piggyback off of that, man, because I think that was a great setup for my question. Because most of us, baseball players, we don't lose a lot coming through the ranks, right? The first time we really, get that taste of losing is in professional baseball, right? And I just want to ask you, like, was there any pressure, you coming up to the White Sox as highly talented as you were? Was there just, did you put added pressure on yourself, like trying to do everything and trying to, be the guy that creates that spark or whatever the White Sox was looking for? Was that a part of kind of the struggles that you went through after when you first came up and we saw just how special a player you were?
Yeah, I think a little bit. It's definitely tough losing. Nobody wants to do that. That's, the worst thing in baseball. So, I mean, me personally, I was trying to go out there and do everything I could. Um, Worked my butt off, went out there and was trying my best and just, it didn't work out the best. And, I came up pretty quick, not much minor league time. COVID happened. COVID kind of did everything crazy to everybody. But I got the opportunity and, wanted to take full advantage of it.
One quick follow on that too. You had a brief stint with, and we're gonna get to the fun stuff and the happy stuff, and because I'm so happy for you to be able to play a winning brand of baseball. Because what KP was talking about, I mentioned earlier, people don't realize that bad baseball can be contagious. Even some of my good years, it was a struggle on bad teams. I thought I had a good year and I hit like 260, and it was like, well, that was a good year on a struggling team. Can you talk about just on your way out, because I think he's done a great job. Will Venable, just a little bit on maybe the culture change. He was my ex-teammate. Can you just touch on him a little bit before we talk about the Brewers and the kind of leader that he's shown to be early in his tenure as a White Sox manager?
Yeah, his knowledge of the game is, you've seen it. He was also under Bochy, who's, one of the greatest managers to exist. And I think he just brought the right energy. He had the right mindset and, got the guys together. And, it was short-lived. I was with him, unfortunately, but, he was great.
Andrew, I try and figure out, hey, are there any changes, right? And a lot of fans do too. So when you go over to Milwaukee, I'm looking at scouting reports. Did you move a little bit closer to the plate? And do you have a conversation with the coaching staff about, the way you've made contact, right? You've always hit the ball hard. We've talked about this for a while, right? And a lot of times, you go opposite field, seeing you pull the ball a little more right now. So you can describe it much better than I can. Take us through what you're actually seeing from either a stance and approach perspective, and then also the way the ball's coming off the bat for you.
Yeah, I didn't really think about the stance stuff very much. Kind of went over some film with the hitting coaches in Nashville, and there was some minor tweaks we looked at when I was going good, and then we compared to maybe some rollovers, some ground balls when we're not going so good. And there were some things that stood out, and just worked on those in the cage, and I think that's helped my approach big time.
Hey, now we got to ask about Pat Murphy. I've been fortunate enough to be around a lot of guys, right? Talk about a great leader, man, great energy. One, does he know your real name, or did he just immediately give you a nickname? And what's the nickname? Because he gives everybody a nickname. What's your nickname thus far, this early with the Brewers?
I ain't got a nickname yet.
He ain't gave you a nickname yet, bro?
I didn't get a nickname. I'm gonna say it's not a nickname, but I was going up there, and first couple at bats, I think I hit a rollover, got jammed, broke my bat, and he just looked at me and he goes, "Hey man, just play like a Neanderthal up there. Don't think, don't have any knowledge, just play." And I was like, "Huh."
I think Pat's calling. When you're raking, you get phone calls. That's what happens. Oh wait, bring him back. I think he's back. Yeah, Andrew, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Grandpa called me. I'll call him back.
You're good. So he said hit like a Neanderthal, which actually leads to what I wanted to ask you about. So I saw today they announced that they're going to give out King Vaughn shirts on August 26th. Did you see this? Is this right?
No.
Yeah. Adam McAlvey, who covers the team, I'm sure you've met him there. He covers the Brewers for MLB. He said, "How hot is Andrew Vaughn? The Brewers are adding a T-shirt to the giveaway schedule on August 26th against the Diamondbacks." Cool. So then we're breaking this to you. What do you think? Now Murph might call you King.
No, I don't think so.
Hey, what do you got on that, bro? What do you got on that
first,
dog?
and then I'll go
already?
next.
Yeah. What do you got on the tee?
Man, it's exciting. I mean, just the energy in the clubhouse, the guys, everybody's together, staff included, and just playing really good baseball. I mean, that's kind of what brings everybody together. I mean, doing anything we can to win. I mean, you see how I'm newer to the team, but how the team runs the bases, plays defense, pitches. I mean, it's just incredible.
Hey, I got to ask you some questions about things that you really, really care about, things that you really love. I know you're new to Milwaukee. You find a good fishing spot yet?
At 5 o'clock, I'm going my first time, so we'll see.
Who you
You
going
get it
with?
from anyone else, or you go to one of those like chat rooms or like blogs, Milwaukee fishing spots, or someone on the team kind of give you a little secret fishing spot in Milwaukee.
Yeah, DL Hall on the plane yesterday. He's like, "Hey, you want to go fishing in the morning?" I was like, we land at 1 o'clock," and he was like, "No, we're gonna go in the afternoon." I was like, "All right, I'm in."
He's there. You're there.
And I'm there. I'm going fishing.
Hey, I want to ask you. Okay, fishing, right? That's something you love to do. That's something you enjoy doing. Is there any possible chance that you're going to send Savali a Christmas gift, maybe some fishing rods or something? Because he's the one who requested a trade, and here we are. Now you're playing winning baseball and playing with a guy, a group of guys who really love playing for each other. Do you have any plans on sending Aaron Savali maybe a Christmas gift to get you out of Chicago and over to Milwaukee? I'm just saying.
Man, no. I mean, that trade was crazy. I mean, I saw it happen, and then the next morning I got a phone call, and I was like, "Oh, I'm getting traded today." You never think it's going to happen to you. I mean, it's part of the game, but it happened, and on to new things is what I said.
I
Yeah, and so
watched
how
him.
like
Yeah.
that's beautiful. I love it. I just want to ask one more. I want to ask one more seriously because you went through some ups and downs and a lot of scrutiny. Seriously, how much fun is it waking up every day and driving to a ballpark knowing that you're going to play some meaningful baseball down the stretch? Like, how much fun is that for you?
I mean, it's so exciting. I mean, you wake up, you got that little bit extra energy, just ready to get there. I mean, the clubhouse opened at 12:30. I bet every guy's in there then. It's a special feeling.
Love it.
Hey, I wanted to ask you off of the Savali question. And first of all, he pitched money on the weekend for the White Sox, so that's working out for them too. But do you look back like how crazy it is that so many events need to lead up to this moment where now you're in the thick of a playoff race with the team that's got the best record in baseball, right? Because it basically came from the Brewers having starting pitching depth, right? They have too many good starters, which is probably one of 2 or 3 teams in all of baseball that have that problem. The rest of them are desperately looking for them. That turns into a starter wanting a starting spot. That turns into him going to the White Sox and you ending up here.
Yeah, definitely crazy. Like I said, it's been a whirlwind. Get sent to AAA Charlotte, end up getting traded, get sent to Nashville. Unfortunately, what happened to Reese, but got my opportunity, and my biggest goal was just get here and help the team win. They were already rolling, so it's like I just want to plug in and do what I can.
One more from me, Andrew. Do you notice anything different and or unique about the way that the Brewers organization runs? I know you've been there quick, right? But a lot of our guys, and I'm the only non-player, most of the guys on this show play the game for a long time. They'll tell me how they see something different. Cam can speak to this too. The Brewers are playing a style of baseball that's very different from many other teams in the game. It's not all exit velocity obsession. Obviously, you still have to be a big leaguer, but we're seeing things that actually I can comment from a fan perspective are generally more fun to watch. So it's clean defense, it's good base running. What have you noticed? Like, how do you get a team to play like that? Of course, you need the personnel, but how do you get a team to play that way?
Yeah, I think it's just everybody buying in. That's the biggest thing. Guys just putting it out on the line, just doing anything during that game to win, whether it's a bunt, whether it's a hit and run, making a good play, just all aspects of the game. And I feel like everybody here has bought into that.
Yeah, I was going to touch on something kind of off topic here that maybe a lot of people don't understand. I was traded a couple of times in my career. It's very difficult the first time. It gets a little bit easier the second time, but for us, it's just playing baseball. But behind every player is a great wife, Lexi, your wife. How is she making the adjustment to Milwaukee? I know you guys had a big footprint in the city of Chicago. You guys did a lot of things, charitable things off the field. Yeah, how is she settling into a new town?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind for both of us. She's loving it. She's excited. She's meeting all the wives and, getting connected because that's a big part of it too. I mean, there are families, but, our goal is we have to go play baseball. But what goes on behind the scenes, like she's finding us a place to live, moving furniture, shipping cars, doing all this stuff. And, we can't do it without him. I mean, you guys can attest to that.
Yeah, I love that, man. Shout out to all the wives out there who, like you said, people don't know what they really do. They really become our personal assistants at time. They really do, and they sacrifice so much. I want to keep it on the high note because just like KP, I was traded quite a few times, and you're always trying to buy into the new culture and fit in. Who's been the guy early on? You said you're going fishing today at 5. Like, who's been the guy that you connected with pretty quickly in that clubhouse that you're like, okay, this is, I'm vibing with everybody, but like, this is my guy. Who's welcoming you with open arms, and who are you really vibing with right now?
Yeah, I think the only guy I knew off playing baseball was I met Terang a few years ago. He got a brand new puppy, and it was a Great Dane. Brought it over to my house in Arizona when I used to live there, and just kind of had that little connection. Went in, talked to him, asked him some questions like, "What do we do here? What we got?" Gravitated towards him. But I mean, the whole group, man, they just welcomed me with open arms. It was awesome.
Hey, and real quick, off of that, real quick, what did he tell you? Because I remember going to the Astros, and I kind of the same thing. I asked George Springer. I'm like, hey, like, I was a big workout guy, and I go in the weight room, and like nobody's really in the weight room. And I asked George Springer, I'm like, hey, like, what do we do here? Like, what's the flow? And he just goes, hit or get left behind, dude. Like, we don't really overthink anything. We just play baseball. Like, what did he give you on the Brewers when you asked, like, hey, what to expect?
Be ready at 7. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I feel like that's the most important thing. Not going out checking boxes, just getting in there. As soon as the lights come on, just play ball.
Play like a Neanderthal.
I like that line a lot. That's good. That's good. They might have to give you another T-shirt in September with that one on it.
Keep breaking.
Yeah,
Keep breaking,
Andrew,
dude.
good stuff, man. Thanks for joining us. Have an awesome day off hanging out later there on the trip with DL.
And make sure you post whatever you catch. We need to see it, man. Or send it to KP. He'll post it.
Hey, he's a master. I know he's not getting shut out. I've been getting shut out every day. I stink at fishing.
Need some lessons. I'll come show you something.
Thank you.
Yeah, private tutor. You got to hire him in the off season. Andrew, thank you. Appreciate you. Keep crushing it, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
It's Andrew Vaughn from the Brewers. FT fam, we'll be right back. We'll talk about KP's former club, the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, KP, we're going to do two things. We're going to talk Blue Jays now for 2 minutes, then we're going to talk about them in a different realm coming up in the next segment. So first off, they had a little time. They were doing meh. They were a little meh over the past week, and then they ran into the Rockies, which is just the best medicine when you run into what could end up being the worst team of all time by record. So they won 15-1, then 10-4, and then they finished up the series trailing 1-0 and scoring 20 in a row to win 20-1. So it was a nice series win for the Blue Jays. Most hits in a 3-game series in 125 years. The Blue Jays had 63 hits in their sweep against Colorado. Yes, that's the most in a 3-game set since 1900. Everybody's stats went off. Is that one of those, KP, when you're in the dugout and you're like, oh, we're getting paid in this series. Stats are going to fly. Stats are going to pump. Oh, your slugging percentage down a little bit? Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously going into Colorado you always have that thought in your head. It's like, okay, it's time for me to, boost the stats a little bit. It also helps that Colorado's not very good right now. But I have to say, I mean, they're major league players, Even the worst major league team with the worst major league players on it, they're still major league baseball players. They're better than everyone else in the world. They're there for a reason. But what Toronto was able to do and just go in there and handle business, they made it look easy. And it's not that easy because the guy on the mound, he's fighting for his life. He's trying to make money. He's trying to stay in the big leagues. He's not just grooving fastballs over the plate and saying, hey, you guys score as many runs as you want. So, obviously a great time for the Blue Jays to go in there. Every single person in that lineup has extreme confidence right now. And I think they're about to go into a series. And I'm actually going to go do the pre and post game for the Toronto Blue Jays in Canada. I'm flying out tomorrow. And they have a series with the Dodgers. And this is going to be a heavyweight matchup. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. The Dodgers are always going to get everyone's best. And Toronto is playing their best right now. Not only because they're really good, but they just got off of a series where everyone is feeling good. The worst thing that happened to the Blue Jays is them having an off day today.
Yeah, they outscored the Rockies 45-6. That's one of the biggest run differentials in a 3-game series in Major League history. It was a good day for the Jays. All right, so this is what we're going to do. When we come back, we're going to talk about KP's former team and the team that he's about to cover coming up over the weekend in a different realm. Where else should they play baseball for a day or a series to amp up the country? All right, I'll set this up, and then former Blue Jay Kevin Pillar is going to sizzle. So Jay's Journal with Jake Ferrara writing put something out called Outside of Rogers Center. Is there somewhere in Canada where MLB could showcase a Blue Jays game? And this is coming off the Speedway Series. MLB always does a few things per year in places outside of the normal ballparks, or in Sacramento's case, they're doing that for years. Sorry, had to. But anyway, they could play anywhere in the country, right? This is Canada's team. So they have played at Montreal's Olympic Stadium, but there are other spots that are pointed out in this article. They said BMO Field, which is home to Toronto FC, although that's still in Toronto. Commonwealth Stadium is the largest stadium capacity in all of Canada, 56,000 plus in Edmonton. And then they said BC Place is the biggest stadium, which is British Columbia, located in Denver. That's got 54,500, and it hosts both the CFL BC Lions and the MLS Vancouver Whitecaps. So, KP, what do you got for us? What should they do to have a little tour over the years? And they should definitely do this, right? Try to set up some games across Canada for fans that are living really far away from Toronto.
Yeah, you guys sit this one out. Let me cook here real quick. You mentioned the games in Montreal. I got a chance to go play in those games in Montreal. I think we played the Mets one year, and we played the Cardinals one year. And how could I forget that? We brought Vladimir Guerrero on that trip. He was 17, 18 years old at the time. Hit a walk-off home run in the 9th inning. You talk about loud stadiums. These were exhibition games in Montreal. These fans are dying for baseball there. And just for these exhibition games, 50, 60,000 people. I don't know what the stadium holds, but it was sold out for both nights. We talk about a couple of these other places. Vancouver would be the very obvious one. They love sports there. I had a chance to play there in the minor leagues for the Vancouver Canadians. Great baseball town. But the best part about being a Toronto Blue Jay is when you go to places like Minnesota, when you go to places like Seattle, when you go to any bordering state to Canada, you are getting those type of fans that are coming to see you for the first time, and they are selling out those stadiums. And another great part about being a Toronto Blue Jay is where most teams do Fan Fest, which is typically just in your city, which Toronto is now doing. The Blue Jays are now doing Fan Fest in Toronto, which they had never done when I was a member there. We would caravan across the entire country. We would pick different places across the country, and everywhere you go, there are Blue Jay fans. There is so many great places. I've been to Edmonton. I've been to Alberta. But if I had to pick my number one destination, which is probably the most beautiful place on earth, it would be in Banff. And it has to be in the summer because it gets really, really cold in the winter.
Okay, do they have capacity there to host you guys or to host the Jays?
No, but they need to start working on that now.
What about Calgary? I'm looking at what about?
I mean, Calgary. I've been to Calgary. I've been to a Flames game there, and obviously passionate fans. But Calgary is also home to one of the biggest rodeos, the Calgary Stampede, in the summertime. What would be better? There would be no better event for me personally than going to Calgary in the summertime, going to the rodeo, which I've heard is just the most insanely fun, insane event. Pairing that with a Blue Jays game.
There you go.
This would be unbelievable for baseball. This would be unbelievable for Canada, for Blue Jays fans. We got to make it happen. Calgary Stampede meets Toronto Blue Jays. What a week. What a weekend. I'm there.
Hey, somebody hits a homer, guy comes out of the pen on the bull, right? Like, let's go. It would be awesome, right? It would be sweet. I would love to see
Hey,
it.
let
I
me
mean,
let me be a dreamer. I'm not a logistics guy. I'm not building the stadiums. I'm not filling them out. Let me dream on this. So my two places, Calgary during the Stampede, and then Banff. And do they have the facilities? Not my problem. I'm just dreaming.
That's right. Yeah, you outsource it, and it's not going to be the group that did the Speedway Classic. No offense to them, but they had culinary issues. I will say though, on the field, it was super cool to watch that event, and it gets me thinking of how they did the race car doing a lap for a home run. That kind of stuff's cool. I loved that. I mean, from a visual perspective, it was great. So I'm all
I
for it.
want to see more. I want to see more. I think it's a shame that, some of the issues, and obviously the fans are really important. They need to be treated correctly, especially with the rain delay. And, I was away, but I was watching the game on TV and I'm seeing kids in there, sitting with their parents with their ponchos on. And the fact that the food situation wasn't very good, I don't want to let that overshadow from, at least my point of view being at home and seeing it on TV. What a really cool event. The first time we had Major League Baseball in the state of Tennessee, we need more of that. And we can't overdo it. We can't have it every weekend, but I love these events.
I agree. I love them too. So if you're doing this in Canada, I know they have great food at the ballpark at Rogers Center, but what are you making sure that you show off in a showcase event that everyone would be watching in a different destination in Canada? What's the go-to out there?
I mean, the obvious is the poutine. You got to go poutine. For people that don't know poutine, that's basically nachos but use French fries. And you could pretty much put whatever type of toppings on there.
yes.
You go as basic as you want. You can go as extreme as you want. But for ballpark food, you have to have poutine.
That was my favorite thing as a visitor. I would ask the guys in the kitchen, like, hey, any way you could have me some poutine after the game, please. Maybe some bacon, maybe a little beef on there, whatever you want, some jalapenos. Oh my goodness. You're right. I love it.
I mean, we'll take this kind of. I mean, we're in the same realm of conversation. But do you guys have somewhere that you would like to see a game played? Maybe aside from like Canada, but like, I mean, the racetrack idea was good. Could they do it in like Daytona, Florida? I mean, obviously the racetrack thing's been done, but there's so many other great creative ideas. Scott, you go. You
I
look
got
like you've
one.
been thinking about this.
Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch, but the one that stands out to me because it's part of a bigger problem in our sport is Omaha. I would love them to play a baseball game in Omaha and have the draft there during the College World Series. Why is it a good idea? Because it was an idea that was actually discussed and I think was going to happen. And then COVID kind of ruined it. And then somehow we took it to the All-Star game where I think it gets overshadowed. So I think it would crush out there. Obviously, there's plenty of players that are getting picked from high school and the fans that show up for the College World Series don't necessarily know them, but there are plenty of college stars. It's a way to elevate them. So I think you make that a showcase, you make that part of the College World Series experience and you get a game over there plus the draft. Now you're talking. I like that idea. I think that would be super cool. Do you guys think that would be cool?
I think that would be sweet. I think that would be awesome. That would be that would be awesome to kind of integrate everybody and everything together. That would be sweet. But for me, I think playing for the Padres, one thing that I really, really loved so much was honoring our militaries. And for me, I think a naval base, like I know you have to get around like some security stuff, but I think like if you could somehow put a stadium or build something like they did, like they do everywhere, a field and do it on a naval base just to kind of honor our military, maybe have, different branches of our military show up as well as some fans I'm sure it would be some security checkpoints you have to go through, but I think that would be so cool to do it on like on the water or something crazy or, some type of base.
I'm with you. And Cam, obviously it would be a smaller event. So I would say just keep it the military personnel to keep it kind of simpler, right?
Like,
it's not a moneymaker, although the TV side would be, right? So that covers the event, but I think that'd be sick. I'm all for that.
I think that would be awesome. Like maybe like on the water, like that would be crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback that because I'm a big military guy, and I think we owe it to them to do a game at a Navy base and kind of highlight what they do, for us in order to play baseball, what they do for our country. To piggyback that, it needs to be done in Hawaii because I would love to see baseball in Hawaii. I love going to Hawaii. I know Hawaii's got a rich culture of baseball, so do the military game at a naval base in Hawaii.
Boom,
that would be
done.
Amazing.
That would be awesome. We'll do the show there live. Yeah.
There you
MLB,
go.
we've got it. Okay, we'll bring attention to it. We'll
Facts.
do the show there live. FT from Hawaii. Hawaii, we got it. Yeah, but I'm with you. I agree. I would love to see a game out there.
You
As
put
would
me and
everyone.
KP on pre and post game. We got it. Let's go.
Done. We'll do the alt cast too.
Any excuse to go to Hawaii, I'm there.
I'm with you. I was there recently.
Facts.
Freaking love it. It's great. So yeah, all great ideas. If you're watching this after the fact, you have another idea, drop it, whether it's in Canada or elsewhere. And FT Fam will be right back with Slap Hands. BetMGM Locks. Yesterday, a loss for me and for AJ, but a dub for Pap, who's getting his game back on fading bad teams. And then Jason Kipnis hits. Oh my gosh, guys. I don't even want to know how much Kip's up. Oh, yes, I do. $2,945. So if you've been following Kip, and I know it's a small sample size, he has been very successful this year, as have many others. Cam, you're up. KP's up. I'm down a little, although I got to be an everyday grinder, but I got to get it back together. Cam, you want to go first?
Yeah, let's do it. For me, I went in the numbers and I had to check some things. Not a lot of games on the slate, but the guy that we talked about who makes the game look easy, even as hard as it is, Paul Skeens, right? I'm taking the Pirates over the Reds. He is 3-0 in his career against the Reds, and he has dominated. I'm taking Paul Skeens under the run total and the Pirates today. I'm putting 100 on it.
Okay, there you go. And what are we checking in with on that? Let's see. That is plus 180.
Yep.
Plus 180. Okay, KP, you're up.
Yeah, since I don't get a chance to do this show a lot, I don't have a ton of money. I did win my first bet. Thank you, Jacob deGrom. But today, I love the matchup. I'm taking Kyle Stowers to hit a home run. I only have $100. I wish I had more. He's facing Cookie Carrasco, who I love. Tremendous human being. Great pitcher. Not quite the same pitcher he was, and it's also played in Atlanta. I expect to see a ball in the chop house today.
Boom.
I think that
there
gets
you
me,
go.
I think it's plus 400, so I'm trying to make some money.
Yeah, you are. 100 down to win 400.
And I really like what Kyle Stowers has been doing. I mean, very, very impressive. Talk about a guy, kind of the opposite of the Andrew Vaughn thing. You go from, obviously the Orioles aren't very good, but you leave a team and you go to a team that's not very good, but you get your opportunity. And when you're a young player, you have an opportunity, and he's showcasing, he's a really good player.
Yeah, I'm picking on that game too. I got the Marlins money line minus 125 to win a hundo against the Braves. Marlins playing much better than them. Their offense is cranking, and Yuri Perez against Carlos Carrasco to me is a mismatch. Very much so, stuff-wise. Cookie, no offense, but this is Yuri Perez in his prime years, and Cookie is definitely finishing up his career eating some innings for the Bravos. Hey, get in on the excitement on the BetMGM Sports app or betmgm.com for a no sweat token. You can learn more within the app and any sport no sweat token. If you don't win your wager, you get a stake back in bonus bets. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's slap and say congrats early to Adam Jones, who's going to be honored this Saturday. Our buddy, we got to get him back on to talk about this post, but he's going to be honored over in Baltimore, Camden Yards, into the Orioles Hall of Fame. He will be inducted this Saturday. They freaking love him out there, and Cam, that's our boy too. And he's he's kind of working within the team a little bit now too. So he's been vocal about trying to get the team back on track for next year. This is, therapeutic in terms of what the Orioles fans need right now. It's just the Adam Jones smile after they just traded away half their team and they're not going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, this is great from Adam, man. Adam was a guy that I looked up to throughout my career, man. He just always played the game the right way. Was always willing to pull a young guy to the side and give him a piece of advice. I mean, to this day, if I need something, I can call him. So congrats to Adam, man. Well deserved. And like you said, a bright spot for the Orioles this year and a much needed bright spot.
Yeah, KP, I'm
Yeah,
sure you matched up early career, right? With the Orioles with
Yeah,
Adam
I
there?
was one of those young guys. I was competing against him. We were in competition with each other, but he was never afraid. I went up to him maybe my second year, third year, and I basically just told him, like, how are you still doing it at such a high level? You know, center field is such a physically demanding position. How are you still doing it at such a high level? You know, 6, 7, 8 years in the league. You know, he was much older than me at that time. And he just gave me some really good advice. And I always appreciated it. I think my favorite thing about Adam Jones was what we touched on, his smile. He just played the game with so much joy and so much fun. And I always was envious of the way he could just play so relaxed and have so much fun playing it. I was always a very serious guy because baseball was so hard for me that I didn't have time to smile. I had to focus 24/7 when I was on a baseball field, and loved that he just always smiled. He could chew a bubble gum and rob a home run. Congrats to Adam Jones. Just one of my favorite players of all time.
That's cool. You know, now he travels a lot, and sometimes he'll pop up in a city and he'll just be like on Twitter, anyone want to play golf today? And then he'll literally DM some of the people and be like, cool, see you at the course at whatever time. So that's Adam for you. Always having a good time, enjoying life. You'll see him at a lot of MLB events. But again, props to Adam Jones. You know, part of us, especially when we first started, popping up on shows all the time. So we're back tomorrow, and Gavin Williams will join us on tomorrow's show. Oh, also, Mike Trout, happy birthday today.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
How old's Trouty? Do we know?
Probably not as old as we think. It's crazy. It's like he's been in the league so long. I mean, I want to say like happy 31st, 33rd, 30, 34.
34th.
34.
No,
God, that makes me
34th.
so mad because he's been playing for so long, and here I am. I'm 36. I'm sitting at home, and he's played for 15 years, and he's one of my goats. He's one of my goats.
He's one of the GOATs.
All right, here for a few more minutes while you're watching us, and then the Dodgers territory group. We'll run off to that show, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Also, if you missed Fair Territory from earlier today, Alana Rizzo and Robert Murray were hosting that show. A much needed and deserved week off for Ken Rosenthal after swinging breaking news left and right for us. Yeah, Trout's 34. KP, you're 36 and you played this year. So in fairness, I mean, he's still got 2 years to put in. And we love Trout. He's given us a ton of great memories, but I mean, he is showing his age. Like, he's had to really battle too. I mean, he's having fun, right? And the game has come easy for him, but it's the body maintenance that's been tough for him at this stage in his career. Just figuring out how to stay on the field, you know, not a center fielder anymore, like you were talking about with Adam Jones. And that's part of it, right? I mean, he played center field for a long time. Your body takes a hit.
Yeah, I was able to, reach out to some of the guys I know with the Angels on the coaching staff and asked, are we going to see Trouty in the outfield this year? And, the quick answer was no, not this year, but it's not forever. I think they're doing a really good job. He had 2 knee surgeries last year, meniscus, and, they want him to be healthy. Trout is, like we talked about, one of the GOATs of all time. So if he needs to kind of take a step back this year and allow his body to kind of reacclimate to playing Major League Baseball, going through 162, but I do expect to see him in the outfield again next year.
I want to see him in the playoffs.
Yeah. Should we get Cam going right here? Should we get Cam in trouble before we leave?
Sure.
Yeah, please do. Listen, I mean, and I think, you know what, the more I thought about it, guys, I think the Angels fans would even agree. I wish they would have traded Mike Trout, right? They would just give the guy a chance, man. How loyal as can be, right? Reward him for his loyalty, actually. How about that, right? Like, get him somewhere where he has a chance to win. I mean, at this point, it's Mike Trout. He's still special. The 10th 20 home run season, so he still has a lot of production in the tank. Let's just get something for him now and allow him to go win. I mean, he deserves it. Let's go, Angels. Just do right by Mike Trout. I'll say it. Angels fans, you can be mad at me, but I think most of them agree with me.
No, I think a lot of them don't, just because we've talked about it on the show, and they're like, no, we want him to win here. But man, it's getting late.
But again, so what I always say to a lot of parents that I coach travel ball, where there's delusion, there's hope. So continue to be
it's been a
delusional
long
because they ain't
time.
winning no time soon.
It's been a long time. It sucks. Yeah. Hey, they think they've got a shot this year. You look up in the standings. I like giving a little go just because, man, KP, even them sniffing a playoff game or even a playoff race would be interesting.
Right.
Hey,
And Scotty, in my
at
defense,
some point, you got to go for it. At some point, you
Yeah.
got to go for
Hey,
it. And I love Perry Manassian,
and in my defense,
you know,
Scotty,
I know
who
RD,
was
but
rooting
at
for the
some point,
Angels
you
more
can't
than
be
me?
rebuilding. You can't be rebuilding forever. At some point, you got to say we're close enough. You know, do they have the assets to sell? Do they have some they could have sold? But at some point, you got to go for it. You know, 3 or 4 games is nothing.
Cam, last word.
Hey, I was gonna say in my defense, you know, like I know, I had him in. Hey, who was the guy pushing them early in the season? This guy.
You were. And now you're pushing away. Being a realist. It is what it is. That's what we do on the show. It pisses some people off, but welcome to the real world. Great stuff, KP and Cam. And Alana Rizzo's coming up next on Dodgers territory. Instead of Clint, who's also on a much-needed break, Jill Painter-Lopez joining Alana to host the show. Check that out. Either stay here, we'll flip it for you, or go to the Dodgers Territory YouTube channel. Throw them a subscribe, please, too. And we'll see you tomorrow. Gavin Williams joining us.